peeps, welcome to another video. Today it is the Butterick 6380 pattern review. I love this dress. I have made 5 dresses and 2 skirts from this pattern. There will be more, definitely. I absolutely love it. So I started making this dress about this time last year because I had this fabric and then a navy blue crepe with pansies on it that I wanted to use for the same dress. I used this fabric as my wearable muslin fodder. I made the dress with the short sleeves initially, and those sleeves were tight. Very tight, to the point where I couldn't actually get the dress done up because I couldn't get the sleeves on my arm. Thankfully I had enough of this fabric that I could go and cut the sleeves from the McCall's 7537, and I spliced those on, and I absolutely love how this dress has come out. So this was my wearable muslin fodder. This fabric was from the textile centre. I think it was either Asda or Tesco had used it in their clothing line, and clearly there was some dead stock left over. I managed to get myself 3 meters, and it's a really interesting print. I do like it. I don't wear this one very often because one of the things that I have found with this dress is that the arm side is incredibly tight. Incredibly tight. I clearly didn't learn my lesson because this is the second one that I've made, and the arm side on this one is tight as well. Not as bad as that one, and both of them are wearable, but I am aware of the arm side. It does mean that the mobility is great because, you know, there isn't that bit of fabric anchoring your arm to the side, but it is erring on the side of just a little bit uncomfortable, so that is something to be aware of. Also, having looked at my pattern, I have made a straight size 10, which surprises me because looking at the pattern envelope for measurements, size 10 is for a 32.5-inch bust and a 25-inch waist. Now I have a 38-inch bust, so that's 6.5 inches of difference, and I have a 28-inch waist, so that's 3 inches of difference. So technically I should be the size 16 for the bust and the size 14 for the waist. Now, as I say, I have cut a straight size 10 out, which means that I remember there being a giant amount of wearing ease in this. There must have been, because, you know, a straight size 10 for a 32.5-inch bust, and it fits me. Yeah, but I don't remember what the wearing ease is. So I'm going to have a look at the pattern pieces and I can see a little bit of ease here. Right, okay, so I have the bodice front and the size 10. The pattern says it's for a 32.5-inch bust. The size 10 has a 39-inch finished garment measurement. That's madness. That's utter madness. I mean, no wonder I did a size 10, and as you can see, it fits me really well. The only downside is that the sleeves were the only tiny part of this pattern. Clearly the ease everywhere else was massive, and then the sleeves were tiny. Let me see if I can find the front waistband piece. 39 inches. So for the size 14, which is what they said I should be, no, hang on, I should be a size 16, which is a 38-inch bust. Size 14 is for a 36-inch bust, and the finished garment measurement is 42.5 inches. Wow. No wonder I did the size 10. Let's see if I can find the waistband without unfurling things too much. Here we go. Oh, wow. Okay, so the size 10, which is supposed to be for a 25-inch waist, has a finished garment measurement of 28.5 inches. So that's not as bad as the bust, but that is the waist measurement that I want. Like, the size, according to the pattern, I should have done the size 14 for a 28-inch waist. That would have given me a finished garment measurement of 32 inches of 4 inches of ease around the waist. And I'm sorry, I know Gertie's made this for herself. There is no way that she's got 4 inches of ease around her waist there and 6.5 inches of ease around her bust. She just hasn't. No way. So that is a little bit mad. When I was thinking I was going to talk about this dress, I was thinking I just ought to just check which size I've done. Probably the 14. Size 10! I wonder if there are measurements on the sleeve. Can I find the sleeve? The sleeve's not on this pattern piece. Fold this up neatly again. You can tell I've thoroughly prepared. Right, Come on, sleeve, where are you? So yeah, the sleeve does have finished garment measurements, and the sleeve, the size 10 is a 13-inch finished garment measurement. At the time my arms were 14 inches, which is the size 14. So the sleeve is the only part of this that's actually fitted, which it doesn't look like skin tight on Gertie. There is a little bit of room in there, but she does have thinner arms than I do. But I find it very, very strange that the bodice is so oversized and then the sleeves are actually very, very tight. I mean, no wonder I struggled with it. So it's another instance of the pattern envelope being incredibly misleading, because both the line drawing and the one that Gertie's wearing are fitted dresses. There is very little design-ease in these dresses. The pattern would have you put like 6.5 inches of ease at the bust and 3.5 inches of ease at the waist, 4 inches of ease at the waist, and there is zero chance that either of these have that much ease in there. The design ease is minimal on these. Yeah, another case of they really should have the finished garment measurements on the back of the envelope, but apparently that's coming soon. Mimi G to the rescue, thank goodness. I have to say that after all of that, I do love this dress. I know enough when I'm making something new to make a wearable muslin first, check the finished garment measurements, and basically ignore what they tell me on the top of this envelope. I've mentioned that I'm going to do a video of me making the McCall 7974 with the size that the envelope tells me that I should, and then I'm going to show you the one of the size that I think I should make, and we'll have a comparison between the two, and I'm going to be doing that in December. So yeah, I am going to get to that video, and it will be really interesting to see the difference between what the pattern envelope recommends and what I actually think I should be wearing. That video is coming, but having said all that, I do love this dress, and as I say, thankfully I have enough knowledge to know to look for the finished garment measurements and then work out the type of fit that I want from my dress from the finished garment. I hate the sleeves on this pattern. They are way too small in comparison to they're drafted way too tightly in comparison to the rest of the actual bodice. Other than that, I love it. I absolutely love it. As I say, I've made 5 dresses and 2 skirts from this pattern. There are going to be more in the future. I love the neckline that this gives. I love the little tab detail in here that pulls the neckline in. I really like the midriff panel. I like the shape of the skirt. It is a very small A-line skirt, which is unusual for me, but I do like it, and I do wear these dresses fairly frequently. What I love about this dress is its versatility. The bodice is amazing, and you can splice on different sleeves. These are the 7537. I've got the giant bishop sleeves with cuffs from the 9345 on this version. This version has the original sleeves that I have just slashed and spread to give me more of a fluttery look. I think I might go even a little bit more dramatic with the flutter on the next version I make of this, but I do like this dress too. And you can also make it sleeveless, which looks amazing. So yeah, I really love the versatility of it. As yet I haven't put on a different skirt, but this bodice and different sleeves will work really well with fuller skirts. Oh no, I have put a half circle skirt on my pink one. That was only because the fabric I used was fairly sheer, and the original skirt is underneath as a lining, and then there's a half circle skirt on top. I'm going to try one of these dresses with a full circle skirt and full sleeves, and I'm going to do that one from the navy crepe with the pansies on it. I also want to put on a gathered tiered skirt. I think that's going to look really, really pretty. So I do think this bodice is super, super versatile, and once you've got the fit of the bodice correct, then it's kind of like the world's your oyster. You can really go to town. The options for colour blocking are amazing, especially with these little tabs here. You can do these in a solid and the midriff and the skirt in a solid and end up with a very different look. So I'll go through the ones that I've made. Showing you the first one. This is the second one that I've made. I got this fabric from the very lovely Mary for one of the KB pattern swaps. It was totally above and beyond what she was meant to send, but I'm very glad that she did because it's gorgeous. It's kind of like a crinkly crepe fabric with this beautiful floral print print on it. It works beautifully with the Pirate Capsule collection, some of which I've got behind me here. I just absolutely love this dress. I have a little bit of this fabric left over, so I'm going to be able to make a top as well, which is great. Next up is this kind of black peachy floral with a little bit of aqua highlights in it. So I cut the sleeves out for the Vogue 9345 and I'd made the maxi version in this fabric, and when I put the sleeves on it looked very evening gown, but not the kind of evening gown that I would reach for. So I made that one sleeveless, and then the very lovely Rachel and Judy managed to track me down some more of this fabric in both Waltons and Boys in Yorkshire, and they sent me some extra so that I could make another dress with it. And I decided to use this bodice and, well, yeah, bodice and skirt as is from the pattern. I really like how this looks. So to tie in the cuff detail, because I've got little cuffs on these sleeves with the buttons, if I didn't put cuffs on these sleeves I'd end up with them in everything. I also put covered buttons down the front, and that is a detail that I really like because there is a centre front seam there, so I do like highlighting or hiding that with button details, and I've done that twice now, and I'll show you the next one as well. So yeah, very happy with this. I wear this a lot. These sleeves are epic. Absolutely love these sleeves. Need to put them on everything. The next one I made was this one with the royal blue solid bottom and then the printed flowery top. This fabric was from Lamazi and I fell in love with it. They only had a meter left, so I bought it not knowing what I was going to do with it. After I'd made the first 3 of this dress, I was suddenly like, oh yeah, I could colour block it. I follow House of Foxy on Instagram and they do something very similar, so I decided to give it a try. I was going to use a pink fabric with the bottom of this one, the pink that you'll see in a second, but when I put them together the royal blue actually ended up looking better. To tie the royal blue in, I did tiny little buttons along here, which I love, and then I did the little doodads that bring in the neckline in the royal blue. I just think this is absolutely beautiful. Now when I made this, I had put on quite a lot of weight since I had traced this pattern out. It was slightly snug and pulling in areas. I haven't tried it on since and I haven't worn it since, and obviously it's a very summery dress with the colour palette and the sleeve length, but I have lost quite a lot of weight recently. I lost 12 pounds, so I do think this is actually going to fit me a lot better because it's exactly the same size as the one I'm wearing, and I can get this one back on again and I can zip it up in this room. So I am really looking forward to being able to wear this next year in the spring summer months, and I do think this is a very beautiful dress. So I'm really pleased that I decided to risk it with this fabric and try a colour block dress. I do like it. And then the final one I have to show you today is this pink and floral. So this fabric I got from Sew Over It, and I have made an Eve dress out of it. I have made a 6563 t-shirt out of it. I had enough left to get the bodice of this dress out of it. I had enough for one sleeve, one fluttery sleeve, but not 2, so I decided to make it sleeveless. I'd seen somebody on Instagram, if you Google this dress pattern, there are some amazing ones that come up with some beautiful border prints and some colour blocking, and somebody had made a sleeveless one and I just thought, that is amazing. Working out how to make it sleeveless and cleanly finish off these armholes with these little doodads was interesting, and when I realised that I was just making my life way more complicated than it needed to be, I kind of had a dull moment, and yeah, just the other one went in much easier. But I just absolutely love this. As I say, there is 2 layers in this one because I have a half circle skirt on it and then the actual normal skirt pattern as the lining, and that's only because this fabric was a little bit sheer if there was sunlight on it, and given that this is a very summery spring dress, I decided that to err on the side of caution and put a lining in it. I really do like how the lining makes the viscoses fall. I think they look really pretty. There's a lining in the sort of colour blocked blue one as well. I don't have a lining in any of the other ones, although the pattern does say that you should line the bodice and the skirt. I, up until the blue one, decided not to. The blue one, I was cutting out the blue fabric and there was a little hole in it, and I was like, I must remember that there's a hole in this fabric and cut around it, and then promptly cut the front skirt panel with the hole right front and center. So it's like, well, do I butcher this for kind of like the midriff panel and the little doodads and bits and pieces, or yeah, I'll just line it. So I lined that one, and I actually really like the weight that the lining gives to the skirt, and I think it gives it a really nice look. So it was kind of a happy accident, and I am considering fully lining the navy pansy crepe fabric, probably a half circle skirt lining, because as I said, I want to put a full circle skirt on that one. That one is probably going to get lined as well. The skirt portion, I have made 2 of those, one in a rayon and cotton blend suiting in cream, which I was a little bit hesitant about at first, but now that I've lost a little bit of weight, like I say, it looks way better on me. Then the other one was in an amazing linen that the very lovely Candy sent me. I had 1.5 yards of that, and I'd been desperately trying to get a skirt out of that fabric for years and failing, and then I suddenly, once I'd made this one, I suddenly thought, oh, that will work, and it does beautifully. So the individual parts of this dress are great by themselves and together. The only thing I didn't like was the sleeves, but I've rectified that. I've made them fluttery. So yeah, I've never been a fan of tight sleeves either, because I do like to be able to get my arms above my head, and tighter sleeves tend to restrict that. So overall, I do think this is a lovely pattern. I think some of the sewing instructions make life a little bit more difficult than they have to be. There are some pivot points at the front where they kind of have you put your needle down, pivot, and carry on sewing. I personally think that's very difficult to get a really clean finish that way. I like to sew up to my pivot point, back stitch, move all the fabric around, rearrange everything, and start stitching from the pivot point, anchor my stitches, and then finish off the seam. I find that I get a much neater finish that way. I did that for the McCall 7810 top, and there is a chapter on how to do that actual sort of like just I don't know if it's even a technique, but it does differ from the instructions, because I find trying to put your needle down, rearrange everything, and have it all come out neat is very, very difficult. Other than that, the instructions were really easy to follow. Yeah, it's a beautiful dress. I highly, highly recommend it. I know it's out of print. I thought Simplicity had reissued all of Gertie's patterns, but they've only done a few of them so far. So fingers crossed they will reissue the 6380. But if you do see it out and about and you don't have it in your stash, highly recommend. It's a beautiful dress. Very kind of 1940s, I think, but then if you style, I mean, when I do my one with a tiered and gathered skirt on it and the big sleeves, again, it could lean quite 70s, but you know, 70s does 40s kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's a really pretty dress. Hopefully I have covered all the points of interest. I'm not sure if it's come across, but I do recommend this pattern, highly recommend. Just make sure that when you are having a look at the sizes, that you look at the finished garment size and go from those and work out, you know, if you prefer a tighter fitting dress like I do, go for one of the smaller sizes, and if you prefer more wearing room in your dresses, go for a slightly larger size. But yeah, don't go by the pattern envelope, check out the actual finished garment sizes. I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll do my best to answer them. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!